should break me. Oh, I'm tired of the pain. Gotta through my body, felt my heart just crumbling away. Despite what you've done, despite the pain that you caused, you'll never get the best of me. Oh, cry, cry, but I see it stronger than I was before. I'm stronger. Sometimes you're always the best way. You're living your life, yeah. I once was blind, but now I see. Walked into the light out of misery. Because of His grace, I am free. No more bondage, you can't have me. You're living your life. At times the hard way is the best way. Faith was tested, power I gained. Don't put your trust in man. You're living your life. You may be going through, but patience is a virtue. Let it destroy you, no. Don't acknowledge the storm. You're living your life. Hold on, be strong. This was destined for your existence. What don't kill you makes you stronger. You're living your life. Oh, you can make it. Oh, you can take it. You living your life. You're living your life. You're living your life.
Hey everybody, so glad that you can join me today. So excited to have you guys here. Go on and share this with your followers. Glad to have you here. I have with me Eboni Butler,
Hello, everyone.
and I have with me Dionne Edwards joining me today. I wanted to make it more of a group discussion as we close out our discussion on breaking cycles. First week we talked about making peace with the truth about your situation and admitting that you are in a cycle. Second week we talked about introspection with breaking cycles, how you have to look within yourself, figure out really what's going on in my thought life, what's going on in my mind, and what do I need to do inwardly to break myself out of this. Third week we talked about intentionality, how we have to be intentional in our progression and intentional in our behavior to break patterns and to really just move forward with our lives. So this week, with the conclusion of it, we are going to talk about do not resuscitate. That is our topic. Do not resuscitate. This concept became so real to me last year when my grandmother died. I remember we were in the room and they said that she signed a form that said do not resuscitate. And it basically said that if I die, let me die. Leave me. Leave me where I'm at. Let me go. And so it was a little hard for us. We kind of as a family were upset with her signing this because this was something she did on her own, because we did not know how to cope with departure and disconnect from things that disconnect from, our attachment to her. And as individuals, when we are attempting to break cycles and when we are attempting to come out of things, sometimes it is very difficult for us to disconnect from things that we have been attached to for so long. In breaking cycles, one of the things that we have a tendency to do is to bring back alive things that were dead and fall back into old patterns. This is something that I found myself doing. Many women have found themselves doing, men as well, and so why do you think that we do this? Why do you think we do this?
I think that there is a commonality in response. So in the intention of breaking the cycle, I think that it's our responsibility to go back and then evaluate our own intentions and decisions before we make them. Because once you've made the intention to break the cycle, you still have to understand you're in a process of total healing.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for your response to be what you're used to doing. I teach dance and I teach muscle memory. So I'll teach that if you practice something in this way, no matter what you do, it'll naturally be your response.
Yeah.
And I think our natural response most times is the pattern of dysfunction or the pattern of the whatever cycle we're already trying to break.
Yeah.
Even Devon Franklin and Megan Good in their book The Wait, they talked about how Megan, going into the relationship, saw that it was valuable, but she couldn't help but to naturally sort of read into or evaluate everything he was doing from the lens of her last relationship. So
good.
I think that we have to remember that while we're on that process of total healing, there's still areas of brokenness. So it's very easy for us to view things through a shattered lens.
That's
and
real good.
any shattered lens is going to produce a distorted image.
Absolutely. I think that that's really good. Actually, many times when we come out of relationships that are dysfunctional, our lens is damaged. We do see it through a damaged lens. And so when we are looking through a damaged lens, when someone comes to us and they try to correct what has been wrong for so long, we're like, what's wrong with you? What you doing? Why are you talking to me nicely? You know, why? You know, even you see it on movies like where people want to argue all the time and they're like, well, I don't want to argue. Well, to me, this is the norm. Arguing is the norm. Yelling is the norm. I'll never forget, I was in a relationship and the guy was like, why are you yelling? And I was like, I'm not yelling.
I'm just talking loud.
I'm passionate. And he's like, no, you're yelling. And, you know, that was the norm for so long. The relationship before that, it was just like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. And then you want something to eat? You know, it just was the norm. And so he was like, no, you're not going to talk to me like that. Because really, when you talk to me like this, now you're dishonoring me. And you're dishonoring the relationship. And so I had to realize, oh, shoot. I'm viewing this as normal when really it's dishonoring this man that I'm with, you know, and the reason I'm viewing it like this is because my lens was damaged. You know, Eboni, I think that, you know, when you've been in something so long that is toxic, it's hard to adjust to healthy.
Right, because you become so accustomed to being damaged and you become so accustomed to being broken. So when something good and healthy comes into your life, you don't know how to respond.
Right.
And you do, and I'll say this for me, healing is a process. The gentleman I dated before I got married, I thought I was doing everything right. And for me, I actually now I reevaluate, I was doing everything right. But to somebody else who was broken, to them,
right,
you're toxic.
You're toxic.
To them, you're toxic. So you can be from a healthy place, but if the person that you're even with is broken themselves, they don't know how to receive you. So it is so vitally important to get healed. It is so vitally important to say, okay, you have to know you.
Yeah, you do have to know you. And you have to know what your limit is as well.
Right.
You know, you have to know how far you can go. You know, even I was watching the final to the trilogy, 50 Shades of Grey. I think they had 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker, and 50 Shades Freed. And so when I was watching 50 Shades Freed, I was just really analyzing this, and I was like, this is a mess. You know, the movie was good, you know, like the book, whatever. Right. Don't judge me. You know, I'm just a reader.
Most women like the book. Right, most women like the book.
You know, but I was like, why do I like this book? And I realized the reason I liked it is because this book romanticizes bad relationships. Right. This book says at the end of the day, when you are in a dysfunctional relationship, your love can make someone whole.
Right.
That is some foolishness. I was going to say bull crap. That is some foolishness. Your love cannot make someone that is dysfunctional whole. Ultimately, it is a decision that they make. And so what happens is we stay in these cycles. We stay in repetitive dysfunction because we're waiting for our love to make somebody whole. And then you have these unrealistic cinematic depictions of what love looks like and what, you know, real relationships look like, and it's not even real. And so we're looking at it saying, well, you know what? Christian in the movie, he controlled Anastasia, so it's okay that I have this man trying to exercise dominance and control over me, and you know, I can only use the phone he bought me and the computer he bought me, and I gotta tell him when I get home, and I gotta tell him that is dysfunction, you know, or that I gotta allow him to spank me and I'm an adult when I disobey. Some of y'all letting these men spank you. You got to stop.
Now, if you married, it's okay.
Ebony's married. We're not. That's for another show.
That's another podcast.
When I get married.
Wow. But no, I will say this though, and it's funny that you say that, but I think inside of all women, God has given us that ability to nurture. So it is something inside of women, I think, all across America that have that fixer mentality.
Yeah.
We believe that we can fix them,
Mm-hmm.
or that, like you said, our love is powerful to heal and to correct everyone, and that's not true. Like you said, they have to want to be healed. They have to want to be loved. They have to want to receive what you have, because you can honestly have what that individual needs, and you could be that great, wonderful woman or man, but if they're not receptive to it because they're so used to being toxic and filled with toxicity, they're just like, okay, well, no, they'll reject you, and then they'll make you think something's wrong with you. You think you crazy.
You will be questioning yourself like,
and
well, what's wrong with me?
And I've done that.
I've done that many times. Like, well, what's the deal? What's wrong with, am I not pretty enough?
Right.
Am I not the right size? Do I not have the right things in the right places?
Right.
Am I not intelligent enough? And now you're, insecure.
Right.
You're insecure. That's how insecurity comes, through continued cycles of toxic, bad relationships with people that are broken, resuscitating things that should be dead. There's no reason for this to be alive still. Right.
Yeah.
Even you look at friends, not only relationships. I remember in church, I'm a church kid, and I remember growing up in church, there would be girls around the church, and they would have cycles of talking about each other. They would have cycles of talking about each other, beefing, ending the friendship, and then resuscitating it by shouting together during a praise day, and never having a conversation. You knew if they came to shout with you, we was girls again. What is that?
All the time.
Because praise just wiped it out.
Jesus paid it all.
That is dysfunction. We praised our issues out. You cannot praise your issues out. No. And I think that's what we do. I think we try to sex our issues out. We try to praise our issues out. I think we try to just wipe them under the table so that we can keep the relationship alive. But it's not going to work. There are some things that have no place in your life, and there's no reason why it should be alive. There are certain people you'd be like, you know what? We just was not meant to be friends.
Right.
We don't even mesh. Our personalities. See, we get into all of these other things, how we feel. But if you just look at it on a compatibility level, our personalities don't even mesh. Right. Like, you're super sensitive. I'm super harsh. That right there is like a collision waiting to happen. Because anything I say is going to be misconstrued because you're sensitive. Or if I am, quiet, but you're loud, so anything that you do is going to annoy me because my personality is quiet. We don't mesh. And so I think that a lot of times, those are one of the reasons, those things that we've, said are some reasons. But another thing is, I also think when you talk about do not resuscitate, when we've allowed things that should not be in our life to die, when we resuscitate them, really, if you be honest with yourself, you're forcing yourself to re-engage.
It takes a lot of work.
Because once something is broken, you then have to work to build it back up. You ever had that guy, he broke your heart so bad, and then you want to rekindle the relationship, or a girl that broke your heart so bad, and you have to rekindle the relationship. You have to literally work to make the feelings come back, and you're really, entangling yourself again. You ever been there?
Absolutely. Right. I've had to break off many friendships and romantic relationships, and in doing so, I'll find myself reverting back to them, and you're digging it up. It's almost like there's a trigger. It could be anything totally unrelated to the relationship, the friendship, but something happens, and I find myself trekking back to them. And in doing so, you have to find the number. Then you have to reach out. Then you got to get through the area of awkwardness to start speaking again.
It's super awkward.
It's so awkward. But you'll put the work in to rebuild what was already shattered, other than doing the work to rebuild yourself. It's like a learned behavior with women where we think it's almost a contest of how much can you bear?
Right.
How much can you take?
And I think it speaks to something inside of you that says, what's wrong with me? Like, why do I have to have this person in my life? What is it that they bring? And I think in part of certain, when you're talking about being toxic, I think when you are toxic, you just feel like this is the best I can do for what I have right now. This person meets the need. And I won't maybe ever find somebody else that may be what I really want.
That's what it is. That's honestly the truth. I think sometimes that we stay in things because only the absence of hope will have you cleaving the crazies. Only the absence of hope will have you have somebody driving your car around town, no job, you taking care of this ninja. He is over here, got a bank card to your account. What are you doing? Right. Like, only the absence of hope. Mm-hmm. Within yourself, you're saying, you know what, honestly, this is the best that I can do. Yep. Let me say something. Let me just, hold on.
She got a sip on that.
I'm going to say something that might get me in trouble, but I don't care. Only the absence of hope will have you dating a gay man. Let me just say this.
I think we're all about to sip.
You're not his preference. Wow. You're not his preference. And a lot of women pop up and say, well, I didn't know he was, you did know he was gay. Wow. You did know. You did know she was gay. You knew that they did not want you. But what you did was you participated because you didn't think that there would be someone that wanted you. You can't make someone that's homosexual want you. You're not their preference. Right. And so what you do is you marry these men and you marry these women. She got a tie on. It's not going to work. Their process is their process. No shade. But their process is their process. Whatever they're going through and the road that they're taking, that's between them and God. But what I'm saying for you is you don't need to participate in that. Not even on a sin level, because they don't want you. Right. Before you even bring any religious mindset into it, you're not their preference. So why are you pushing yourself off on people that do not want you? They don't return your text. They don't return your call. They do not come see you. Why are you pushing yourself? When you look at the text messages, there's a paragraph from you and a one-liner for them. K, thanks, TTYL. Right. They don't want you. So what is it that causes me to push myself off on somebody that don't want me?
I guess I'll say this. Some women and men feel that need to dominate, like, or they have a point to prove to themselves, like, I'm going to get them.
I'm going to get them. That's what that is.
Yeah, I mean, it is something within, I don't want to say all of us, but we all have that, I won't say that alpha male, like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm going to break them down eventually.
And you're broke down. And now you get
I want to break them down eventually, and they're going to give in. And like you said, and it's the truth. I don't think we always want to be honest with ourselves. Mm-hmm. And the reality, and like you said, as far as relationships of someone that has a different lifestyle choice, sometimes we do throw Jesus in things and think that Jesus is gonna make it better, and it's not, because even God gives you choices. And like you said, you see certain things and you try to dismiss it. No, that man, like you said, from day one, everybody else sees it, but you choose to say, I'm gonna make it better because I'm a fixer.
He's going through a process where he's fighting
his own demons,
his own situation. He's fighting his own situation. He's going through a fight, because if he wanted to just be gay, he was just going to be gay. And if he didn't want to be gay, and he wanted to be with a woman, then he would be with a woman without, the residue of his past, or any of that. So it's like, you're now engaging in his situation while you haven't handled your own situation.
Right. And I think it's so dangerous.
It's
very dangerous of us to feel like it's okay for us to go out and date before we're completely healed. Because you're going to get cut on their broken pieces and you're going to cut them with yours. And to speak to the point of control, that's a spirit. You got to handle that. Because if you're choosing to get into relationships with someone just because you think, oh, I can be in control of this because I may not be their first choice, then you are clearly broken and you shouldn't be dating anyone of any level.
And I think sometimes it's not even about dating. Sometimes it's just manipulation. Some people honestly just want what they want, and they're going to do whatever they got to. And like I said, it's twisted, and it happens in the church world all day long. Because I even saw on Instagram someone said the church thought, and you get, like you said, the TTYL, or you know you got a certain kind of dress, or you have a certain kind of look, and you feel like, okay, because I look like this, I'm going to break that person down because I want what I want, and I'm going to get what I want to get. And you're dealing with parts of brokenness, because for some people, when they feel like I can get this person, okay, I have them now, you know, then I'm look at me, I'm whole, you know, I was dating that person, I dated that person, now look at me now, you know. And it's a form of manipulation and somewhat trickery, because you're trying to, you keep replacing them versus just saying, you know what, I need to be by myself. Let me get me together. Let me chill. Let me just not have anybody, because some people are afraid to be alone.
Yeah. And so I'm glad you said that. When people are afraid to be alone, that's the main reason why you resuscitate. That's the main reason why you go back to what you're familiar with.
You're scared to be
alone. A lot of times, you know, we go back to places that we are familiar with and people that we are familiar with, especially when something happens, you know, that triggers us and, you know, we feel bad and we're going through all of these things. We romanticize the past. And we go back into past patterns and past relationships, and we make people our comfort food. You know how when something happens, you're like, listen, my comfort food is tortilla chips and hot salsa. And so, you know, when something happens, let me go get some chips and dip. Let me go on, you know, do what I need to do. Last show I talked about that Little Debbie's, you know, you trying to lose weight, now you back to frying Little Debbie cakes. But I don't even understand why you need to deep fry Little Debbie's. But
got a little extra crunch on it.
I read this thing on Facebook. You've been deep frying Little Debbie's. You know what? How about we grill Debbie? But we make people our comfort food, and every time something happens, we run back to them because they bring us back to a place of comfortability, and they make things feel better, even though they're toxic.
And like you said, the devil never reminds you of you puking in the toilet after you got finished going drinking out the night before. You know, the devil never reminds you of, you just sat up here in the doctor's office and this is your third STD.
Hello, screening.
I mean, but you just remember the time when you were laying down, and I guess that's what it is you don't recall, like even the Bible says, you know, you got to recall those things, like, wait a minute.
No, you won't remember that he gave you an STD.
Right, but you love him, and he loves you.
Right, and you're back sleeping with him. With no condom. Exactly.
So I think you sometimes you fail to remember. You gotta, and I think that's what it is. You have to take a pause to remember. And like I said, the devil does not remind you of you puking. You don't remember that. You just remember the good, and you forget, like, okay, I'm side chick number 3, and you've met all the other 3.
No, you're fighting with them on social media.
Right.
You are fighting and adding them on social media, and now you're beefing with women you don't even know because of a man that's not going to marry 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
And so what really happens is you have to release yourself.
Just walk away.
You know, you have to, you know, deny your urge to resuscitate and release yourself, because if you're looking for someone to release you, they won't.
Right.
They're not going to release you, and you'll stay stuck in the cycle. You know, there are some things, you know, when you look at cases with judges and lawyers, there are some cases that you have to label a cold case. What do you mean? It has to be labeled a cold case, meaning I don't get the closure that I want. I'm not going to get down to the answers. I'm not going to know, did he love me? You're not going to know. Was he going to marry me? Because sometimes we allow our minds to keep us in situations. Well, is he going to marry me?
Yep.
Well, it's been 8 years, boo. No. You know, but you have to label that thing a cold case and, you know, walk away with it being okay that I'm never going to have the answer. You know, sometimes we wait around for closure, and we wait around for answers, and we wait around for the situation to make sense, and we never get it. And so waiting on closure is a trick to keep you trapped, because closure is never going to come. You have to release yourself. You have to let go, close it, label it a cold case, and move on to the next thing. You know, see, when you resuscitate relationships that are toxic and things that the Lord brought you out of, or that you had the strength to walk out of, that God gave you strength to walk out of, what happens is you interfere with your future. Because if I'm resuscitating things from the past, I can't do that and then embrace what's in front of me. You can't let go of, you can't hold on to what's in back of you and then embrace what's in front of you. It's never going to work.
Right. And I'll say this, it's funny that you said that, and I often refer back, thank God for some situations, he brings stuff back to your remembrance. I remember when I was in the process of getting out of a relationship, and I prayed and I asked God, you know, show me signs, show me signs, show me signs. And God will show me signs, but it was like, what's wrong with me that I still want to stay in this? Like, why do I feel like I'm not good enough? And I think also, because you mentioned in one of your previous podcasts is, you know, sometimes you have to go back to your childhood. You have to go back to those things to figure out what's inside of me that feels like I'm not good enough. What makes it feel like, because when I went through my divorce, I was like, I'm a mother. I have 4 kids. And I remember laying in the bed saying this, who's going to want me? I got 4 kids. Ain't no man going to want me. And of course, you know, I know people don't bash me. I know that's not a positive way of thinking.
Carl said not so.
Hallelujah. We pray for that. So that man over there. But it takes a lot. I mean, at that moment, because that's how you feel, because that's what the weight of the world, or the weight of everything that's on you. And sometimes you only see for right now, and an enemy will have you only see what's right now, like you said, and that will forfeit your future, because there is someone that can love you the way you want to be loved in that space and time. It just takes time.
Yeah. Here is the thing, and I think that this is something that we never realize. There's happiness after the cycle.
Right.
There's happiness after the situation. A lot of times we can't see past our current emotional state.
Right.
You know, many times we stay in relationships, not even because we love them, but because we don't want to go through the pain of the process of letting go. Yep. Sometimes it's never even about the level of emotion. It's that I don't want to go through laying in the bed crying. Right. I don't want to go through withdrawals. I don't want to go through that whole process. And so what happens is we stay in it and we stay in it, and we miss our God-ordained marriage. Right. We miss, you know, not only relationships, but we stay at those jobs. Mm-hmm. We stay at that position. We never step out on faith. And, you know, I don't want to go through the process of having to shop on the savings aisle, you know, just for a season while we're trying to birth this business out. Right. You know, I don't want to go through eating on the dollar menu. You got to go through the struggle sometimes to get to that place that you've been purposed to be at. Everybody has a story. Come on, Tyler Perry.
Right.
He's killing it. But guess what? That man was sleeping in the car.
Right.
You know why? Because he didn't abort the process. And really, when you resuscitate, you're aborting the process that you have to go through to get to purpose. You know, because it's easier to just resuscitate old things and stay in old places instead of put in the work and dig out what God wants you to, you know, tap into.
Right. Go ahead.
Many times it's just the power of a thought. I think it's fear-based. It's that we think if I let go, it's going to feel like this. It's going to be this way. And many times it's not that bad. When you let go and you actually do have that faith and you find that hope again, the process actually, you'd be surprised. When I let go of my last relationship and I went in and I said intentionally, I'm letting go, the number's gone, feelings are gone, I'm just going to focus on what God has for me, myself, my life, my own walk, like that, everything began to shift. Job, career, friends, faith, everything, it seemed like it was just pouring out blessing upon blessing, but it was just from one decision of letting go. It wasn't as bad of a process as I thought it would be. And I think it's just a fear of a thought of the things that may occur that may not even be your portion.
It's true. It's very, very true. So that's our segment for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. We'll dive more into this next week. Hope you guys have a blessed rest of the week. Go on and share this. Don't be stingy. Share it with your followers. God bless.
I'll never let you break me.